So we're about to start moving from the process of creating a skeleton into the process of actually rigging. And the rigging process is usually involved with making controls. Right now, we've got two types of things that we need controls for. We've got these IK handles, which are translational, and we've got these joints, which are rotational. So ideally, we would have two types of visual things that look different so that when your animator looks at them, they know that this thing has a different function from this other thing. So we're going to take care of that real quick. I'm going to turn off my layers. Let's take my IK handle group, which boy did I spell wrong. And let's stick that on a layer 2. So most riggers who they rig, that's what they do, have a little script that they've written. Let's see if I've got one here. No, I don't think I do. Interesting. So most people who rig, and that's what they do, they have a fancy script where they've saved a bunch of different curves. And you probably remember your curve tools. The curve tools let you draw things. For us, we're beginning riggers. We don't need to be that fancy. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a NURB circle. And the NURB circle is going to be one of our two controls. So let's just say this one right here, that's like a basic circle. I'm going to stick that off to the side and get back to it in a minute. I'm going to make another one, so two circles. This one I'm going to go into control vertex mode, and I'm going to shift select every other control vertex, and then I'm going to scale them in, and that's going to be my second control. So I'm going to use one of these for IK and one of these for FK. So let's do this one, and I'm going to call it my IK control 01. And then this one I'm going to call my FK control 01. So this one's for FK, that's rotational. This one's for IK, that's translational. If you have a different, fancier shape you want to make, you go right ahead. If you would prefer to draw your own CV curve and make it really fancy, you go right ahead and do that too. But for me, I'm just going to use these two. Now I'm going to do one more thing with them. Let me move this back to 0, and now they're kind of overlapped. Here's the other thing. You remember how joints have orientation and rotation? They've got two separate things. I want to set both of my controls up the same way so that they've got their own unique world space coordinates, but then they have a secondary set of transforms that they can use in order to kind of protect these things, like a safety layer. And the way I'm going to do that is by taking each one of them and grouping it to itself. So now I've got these two new group nodes. This group is my IK control group, so let's call this one IKCTL GRP 01. And then this one is my FK control group, so let's call this one FK CTL GRP 01. Oh, let's spell things correctly. So here's the thing that makes this really cool. If I take the group node and I move it, it looks like the curve moves, right? That visually looks like I moved the curve. But if I click on the curve still thinks that it's at the origin because it didn't move, the group node moved. So I can take this group node, I can move it, I can rotate it, I can scale it, and the curve will always feel very strongly that it is at the origin. So for each of these, I've set up this group node, and the group node is the thing that I'm going to be changing. I'm going to leave the curve alone. So the curve is always going to stay at the origin. The group node is the thing that's going to move. So let me turn on my IK handles. I know they're really hard to see because they are this weird brown color. So let's turn on the skeleton too. The skeleton's easier to see. So I'm going to take my IK control group, and I want the IK control group to be in the same place as one of the IK handles. We're going to start with this left wrist. So I've got my group node selected. I'm in my move tool. I'm just going to hold down the V key and snap myself over to the location of the IK handle or the wrist joint. I'm going to rotate like 90 degrees so that I'm kind of oriented the same way. And for me, the control is a little big, so I'm also going to scale that group node down. Great. This is all good. If I look at the curve, it still thinks it's at the origin. The curve is completely perfect. It's just the group node that has changed. So I hope that that makes sense. I really do. The thing that I'm moving is the group node, not the curve. The curve still believes itself to be at the origin. Once you've got the hang of that, go ahead and just, this was the first one. I'm going to Control D to duplicate. We've got 4 IK handles, so let's just put one of these at each location. So I'll take this one here, and I'm just going to snap it over to the other side. Oop. There, just like that. And I kind of regret doing this rotation, but fine. Let's make that positive instead of negative, and that should flip it perfectly. Good. I'm going to move this down here just so that I've got all of these together. This one was my left wrist IK group. This one is my right wrist IK group. This one, let's take it and snap it on down. No, we don't feel like snapping. Why don't we feel like snapping? It could be that I've done some crazy things to my move tool. Let's try that again. Yes, there we go. Let's turn this on, and I'm just going to zero this out. Oop. Wow, I am a master of these controls at this point. Yes. We'll put that at 90. That looks good. This will become my left. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. This should be the ankle. Okay, let's turn the flour sack back off. Snap this over to the ankle. You always want to turn your model on and just see how your control is seated, because you want these controls to be easy for your animator to see and access. So that looks better. Good, and then you know what, we're just going to delete this one, take this one, duplicate it. This will become the right ankle IK group. And again, we will hold down V and snap it over here and just invert that rotation. In this case, we will put a negative sign. And there we go. These 4 things are going to be our IK controls. It'll be really good for me to go in and also name the actual control curve, because that's the thing that my animator is going to use. So this is going to be the left wrist IKCTL. This one will be the right wrist IKCTL, left ankle IKCTL, and right ankle IKCTL. And that should take care of my 4 IK controls. Now at this point, they're all named, they're all in the right location, everybody is looking nice with the model. So I'm feeling pretty good about these. The trick is that right now, of course, none of them do anything. They are just pretty looking curves, and they actually have no relation to the IK handles. So I'm going to pause here so that you have a chance to make the type of curve that you want for your IK controls. You practice grouping the curve to itself, and then moving the group node, not the curve. The curve stays in place, the group node is the thing that moves. Moving the group node onto location by the IK handles. So take some time, go through that, and when you're ready, join me in the next lesson and we will make these IK controls actually control the IK.